Absolutely delighted to be able to do so. He's been our first choice since day one of this process, so really pleased to be able to open up to questions to you guys.
Hi Liam, welcome to Bristol, welcome to Bristol City. I just wanted to start with, if you can talk us through the last 24 hours, kind of what's taken you from where you were to where you are now, and why?
Yeah, extremely full-on, intense 24 hours to be fair. So I was informed yesterday around the approach in the morning. I was in work, to be fair, at Oxford. Then obviously had some discussions and meetings in the afternoon where we spoke around numerous aspects around the job, the project, what we're working towards. Then a bit of headspace. I think that was important for me. Obviously speaking with my wife, who I've dragged around the world in the last 5-6 years. So spoke to her about that. Spoke to I've got some good people around me. Spoke to a few people in the game whose opinions I really trust and respect, and got that feedback. And then informed the club at Oxford of my decision that wanted to move on and join Bristol City. And obviously up this morning and then straight down here for midday. What
were kind of some of the determining factors then that kind of, because I appreciate you must have been, you're in a position where you're in a position of strength at Oxford, if you like. What were some of the determining factors that made the decision for you, if you like?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, short time at Oxford, but it was a good time in terms of the progress we made, and I think that was a big thing in terms of we've left the club in a better position than when we joined. And then ultimately, I think in terms of looking here, I think I wouldn't have left for any club. I think that was quite important. I think there were so many things in terms of alignment with definitely the playing group that are here currently. I think in terms of how I see the game, how I want teams to play, you obviously need the players that are able to do that. And again, I think what's been put into the group and what's in the group currently are very close to how I see the game. So that was definitely a big attraction. And then I think, of course, like when you look at the setup at the club, the training facility, the stadium, it screams high performance. So again, it aligns in terms of with me. I'm driven, I'm hungry, I'm ambitious. I want to develop myself. And again, I think this is a terrific place to do that.
How much do you know about the playing group then? I appreciate obviously you had the game down here in August. You would have done element of homework for that one. I mean, what can you say about the group that's already here? Maybe you maybe don't want to highlight individuals, I don't know, but can you give an overview of kind of your knowledge of the squad as you see it?
Yeah, terribly. I actually watched the game last night, so I think it's a big part of that. I think obviously we did a huge amount of work, obviously for the cup game earlier in the season. And in general, I'm a football fan. So again, I think in terms of watching the game, studying the game, and you tend to gravitate towards teams that you enjoy watching. So obviously, in the last 24 hours, obviously tried to accelerate that, get more up to speed with the group. But I think connections. Obviously, there's some of the lads here that were previously at Oxford that obviously having spoke with some of the staff there. So you tend to know a lot of the players through the game anyway. So yeah, I think that when I look at it with a group, I think there's a real good blend of young, exciting prospects with really high levels of potential that are able to deliver as well. And then it's also underpinned and supported by some real good senior pros as well. So I think what that allows you to do is have accelerate some of that development in the young players by leaning on the experience within the group. So I do think there's a good blend, there's a good mix. And it's our job to tap into that knowledge and to pull it out of the lads.
How can you make this team better then?
Yeah, I think some of that will be on the ground looking at it. Obviously, you can do so much video work, and again, I think in terms of you can look at previous games. And again, I'm not privy to previous game plans or how the team was set up, how they were trained. So again, all I can assess is what's in front of me now. And again, I think I have my ways of working and have real clarity. I think. And that's the biggest bit. I've been coaching 18 years now, so I've done it a long time, and it takes you quite a while to get to a stage where you're quite comfortable with one, how you want to be as a coach, but also how you see the game. And again, I think that's allowed me to create my my game model of what it looks like with the ball, without the ball, transition. So again, I think that will be working with the players to educate them in numerous ways of this is what it looks like.
Is that, I don't want to use the word fix, but you kind of had you talked about principles. Have they always been the same, or is that something that's changed through your coaching life?
Yeah, as a person you always learn, evolve and develop, right? So again, I think there's fundamentals that don't change. The behaviours of hard work, competing, winning duels, intensity, those bits never go out the game, they never change. So there's certain bits that are non-negotiable, and then there's other bits I think that do evolve. I think in terms of I think there's top line stuff for me that I want a team to have the ball and attack, create, score goals. There's different ways of doing that depending on what personnel you've got. So again, I think that I've got the top line stuff. I want us to be aggressive out of possession. I want us to be hard to beat. But again, depending on the opposition, depending on what personnel are available, I think part of the skill is being a little bit adaptable with what you've got at your disposal.
There will be obvious observations made. You've only worked in League One. You're now in a division that is better in quality and speed and all these kind of pressure, expectation, all these kind of things. Do you see it that way? Does that change the challenge in any way for you?
No, I don't. Football doesn't change, right? I think that's the biggest bit. Again, I was fortunate when I was at West Ham. Spent the first 6, 7, 8 weeks when I went there in terms of working with the first team with the Europa League group, and obviously we'd have players across us regularly, and we trained closely by the first team. So I've seen what it looks like at the Premier League as well. And then I think the biggest bits then. When you look at it, there's actually managing the Championship, right? Kieran McKenna, who's someone I speak to regularly, is a great example that you could throw a similar question at, right? And he's obviously done an extremely good job. So again, I think what I have had is a really good grounding in the game, real good foundation, a really good education, underpinned by some real hard graft. It's taken me, like I said, I've been coaching 18 years. And again, I think the biggest bit, the 18 is great if you continually learn and develop. If you do the same thing over an 18 years career, you get good at the same thing. Whereas for me, I'm the type of person, I do want to progress. I do challenge myself to learn and evolve, which hopefully allows me to improve. And again, I think that what we want here and what we need within the team is that culture where we're driven by performance, we're driven by development. So it's win or lose at the weekend, we go through the same process. What was good because we want to repeat it, and what was not so good so that we can learn to get better at it.
How, because of Oxford, it was 8 months, you took over in a sort of challenging set of circumstances and things changed over that period. Is there a time span for you to get your ideas across? Like at Oxford, how quickly were you able to get your ideas across to get them to the point where they are now, or where you've left them?
I think it's twofold there. I think that there's an element where it's how coachable are the players. So I definitely think you've got that, and there's also then me coming the other way, where it's how adaptable am I to what they need. So I do think there's a skill in that, and again, I think that's when you do moving sometimes gives you that adaptability, so that you can read situations, you can feel certain situations, and again, I think that'll be the big bit for me is getting a feel for it on the grass. Obviously, we have to do it quickly, but again, I think that's something that you can accelerate. If you've got good communication and you work closely with the players, and there's various ways of getting them up to speed with what it looks like, whether it be video, whether it be animations, whether it be walkthrough on the grass, conversations. There's numerous ways of doing that. So again, I think it's, like I said, it's some of the group and how coachable they are, which the information I've had from some of the staff that are here is that it's a really strong group. The culture's terrific. They're craving coaching as well. So they're bits that we can come in and take advantage of, definitely.
And sort of externally, you may or may not have, I imagine you've spoken to people at the club in terms of the expectation of the supporters of having been in the Championship and sort of almost got to within playoffs but not quite. Stepping up is a big crowd with respect to Oxford and MK Dons. The stadiums there haven't quite got that same level of crowd, 22,500 I think I heard in the interview in terms of the average. Is that something that you see as a challenge in terms of working within that environment, or is that something that you don't think about at all?
No, I'd probably say I thrive off it, to be honest. I think the games for the fans, right? I think that's the biggest bit. And again, I think in terms of it's then understanding we've all got the same goal. We're all working towards the same thing. So it's understanding then what our roles are and how do we play our part. And again, I think over the course of such a long season, I think it's that collective approach that allows you to get the outcomes you want. So I see I can't control the external stuff. All I can is sit here, be genuine, be me, be honest, show people that side of me. Like I said, I grew up on a council estate and have worked hard to get where I've got to. So again, I'm sure that probably makes certain aspects relatable to people. So again, I think what I can assure is that the staff that are here will do every single thing in our power to to make this successful.
You're bringing Chris Ogg with you. I just wonder, is there any other coaching changes or people you want to bring with you?
We're still in discussions about that at the minute. I think that's something that might take a little bit of time. I think it's happened that quickly that at the minute priority was getting me and Chris in.
Yeah, what you said there may answer this next question, but I just wonder if recruitment had been a topic at all.
In terms of staff, or as in the process?
Sorry, in terms of players, in terms of first team. Well, obviously looking to January, is that a subject that's been discussed yet, or is that something that you kind of see how you go in the first few weeks and then venture that one?
Yeah, I think, speaking with John, speaking with Brian, I know the work's going on behind the scenes. Again, I think that in terms of, obviously, we had in the short period of time we've had obviously some top level discussions on it, but again I think there are things that when you drill into more detail. Again, obviously you need to analyse the squad, see what's in. You obviously have an external perception, but having done it a few times, when you're in the door, sometimes players, what you think and what you get can be pleasant surprises as well as the other way. So again, I think there'll be discussions that will obviously start extremely soon.
John, if you'd like to throw a few questions to you. Obvious one, what did you kind of see in Liam? You said he was the number one candidate from the start. What did you know about Liam before meeting him that led you to that analysis?
Yeah, I mean, in simple terms, I think Liam's one of the most sort of progressive, exciting coaches in England. I think you can see that from other fits with us in terms of player development. Certainly worked in academies, played young players, had experience in Manchester City group as well, so worked abroad. So there's lots of aspects to it that make it a really good fit for us.
What was kind of your pitch?
Look, I think that's where we've progressed a lot as a football club over recent years. I mean, facilities you've got, the academy that you've got, and I think we've got a good group of players as well as a foundation for someone to come in and grow and see how you can potentially achieve in the not too distant future. I think is a real exciting platform for anybody.
The length of the contract implies a project, if you like. Is that something that there's a long-term goal with this?
Yeah, I mean, don't hide our ambition that we're aiming for the Premier League. But I mean, I think you also can see from how we operate that we give our managers and our head coaches a good amount of time to try and achieve our objectives. So, it's Liam's committing to us and we're committing to him. So I mean, that's kind of the basis for it.
The word promotion has sort of been, after Nigel left, in subsequent interviews, the word promotion, the word playoffs come up. It hasn't been, Liam hasn't said it, perhaps deliberately or not. But I just wondered, what is that a requirement? Is that something that's been a topic of conversation in any way?
No, I mean, I don't say it to put pressure on anything else, but I mean that's what we're here for, right? That's what we're all aiming for. So we're not going to, at the same time, you're not going to shy away from it. All the things you've done in recent years, and to get to where you get to, and to making the decisions we've made in recent times is with that in mind. So it's not saying we've got to be here or this happens, but that is what we're all working towards.
Is this, tell me if I'm wrong, is this the appointment you've kind of been most involved with, you personally?
Yeah, I mean,
time at the club.
I mean, naturally, if you look at how we're set up now, in terms of, you've got myself as chairman, you've got Brian as technical director, you've got Gavin Marshall, who is the chief executive of the sporting group, but is on the board for Bristol City, and you've got Tom, who's he's chief operating officer. So we've got quite a tight group there. So naturally, yes, it's one that I've been more prominent in than previous ones. And
naturally, then, do you kind of feel more of a responsibility with that? Is that something? Do you have are you more personally invested in it, perhaps?
I mean, I'm always personally invested, because it's been, if you take pure involvement in life terms, I've been involved in the club for well over 30 years. So it's something that you're always emotionally always invested in. But in terms of personal, of course, yeah.
I'll throw the recruitment question kind of your way. It might be one for Brian, I don't know. But in terms of January, will there be an option to spend money in January?
I will approach it the same way we always do. I mean, January's not, I think it's commonly known, January's not the best time often to try and do business. But if the opportunity comes up, of course, we'll look at it. It's you normally plan for your summers, and if you can bring something forward that still fits that, then that's great. I think the bits where you normally struggle or have difficulties if you're trying to force something, if you're going away from what you would do otherwise. So for me, we're always looking to improve, and if we can do that in that window, then we will. But your previous experience tells you it's harder, so it's more likely to be fewer numbers rather than larger ones.
Just regards to kind of the people who left the club, obviously Dave Rennie, slightly away from the football side, direct football side anyway. he obviously had a huge role in terms of the medical department. I just wondered if that's something. Will we see anyone new coming in that capacity?
Yeah, I mean, for the structure of sort of the underlying rest of the staff in the club, it's something that we'll work closely with over the next sort of few weeks now that we've introduced Liam and managed to get that bit sorted. But yeah, we'll be talking to all our staff about structures and responsibilities, but we're not left short at the moment. We're okay.
Just quickly on the weekend, Liam, I just wondered how much can you do for Saturday in terms of preparing the team?
Yeah, a large amount, to be fair. Again, whether it's all executed and implemented, I think there's that. What you don't want to do is come in and overload the players straight away and change too much straight away. I think that that's part of the feeling element of that transition, and leaning on the people that are already in the building that know the lads far better than I do. So pulling that expertise is massive. And then going through the same process for me. It will be studying them and then identifying the ways that we get success and we control the game and make the game look how we want to.
And I guess taking training tomorrow, that's when the job starts properly.
Yeah, we've got a 3-day lead in now, so we've got 3 days of that's the bit I'm looking forward to most. Getting on the grass ultimately, that's where I'm most comfortable. So it'll be on the grass tomorrow, train Thursday, train travel Friday.
Just quickly, what will your first training session look like?
Yeah, we actually had a discussion today about it. At the managed to squeeze in 30 minutes at the training facility to talk about it. So I think that the biggest bit is connecting with the players. I think that's the first, the most important bit is giving them an idea of what it looks like, what the flow looks like. I think that's important, and then straight into some of the tactical content for me. I think it's a physical day as well, so it's an opportunity to get some physical work in, and then start to drip feed in some of the tactical concepts of how we work.
Thanks for your time, guys.
Thank you.
John, I know your voice is going, but I will ask you to repeat something because our mic was off. Just sum up why you wanted Liam at the club.
Yeah, sorry, let me just put my sort of...
Yeah.
So for me, if you're looking at our search, Liam is one of the most exciting English coaches. Very progressive. There's a lot else to fit our club in terms of player development, working with young players as well. So it was an obvious fit for us with exciting potential behind it as well.
Lovely.
Get rid of that.
Yeah, no, fine, yeah.
Chuck it everywhere else.
Yeah, hi John. How much interest in the job was there? I mean, how many applied and how many did you interview?
Yeah, I don't think I'm telling you anything if I say it's a really enticing job for a lot of people. Your phones ring a lot when it's there, and you get all kinds of applications. From our point of view, we wanted a really focused recruitment process, and for us, that is knowing what we're looking for. So we have done a lot of detail beforehand, and we haven't really interviewed many people in that sense. We've just done our homework and checked it, and then been able to move relatively quickly, which is pleasing.
It is quite a gear change from Nigel Pearson. Is it a gamble?
I don't think it's a gamble. I mean, anything in sport's a gamble in that sense, right? You haven't got anything that's totally proven in terms of you never know how it's going to fit. But for me, what are you doing? You're trying to find something that fits best with what you're looking for, something that excites you, something that you can see working, and I think that gives you the best possible chance. So for me, we're just looking for something that gives us the best possible chance to achieve what we want to.
Hi Liam, congratulations on the job. I mean, how much of a wrench was it to leave Oxford, and what do you say to some disappointed Oxford fans tonight?
Yeah, of course it was a difficult, twofold, a difficult decision, but also a terrific opportunity and an exciting one. So it was a short period, but we had a good time there in terms of we achieved quite a lot, I think, in a short period of time. With it 3 months to save the club from relegation, then to transition a team completely, and then obviously leave it in a position where they've got a healthy squad in a good position. So it was the fans were great. It was a really enjoyable, good experience for me. But again, I think in terms of like I said, I wouldn't have left for any club. I think I'm quite calculated, I think, with the decisions that I make in my career. And again, I think when I look at the club, the history in terms of playing style at the club, where the current team's at, having obviously had an experience this season of what the team's capable of. I think in terms of alignment with me, how I see the game, how we want to play the game, but also the ambition, the drive, and the high performance element, which the club screams at. So a real alignment.
And you talked about your 18-year career. Who's most influenced you along the way?
It's tough to single out one. I'd say I've probably got 4 kind of big mentors for me that have each given me something different. So, if you want the names, I'm happy to give them to you. But I've got so starting back, Brian Kluge at Ipswich is someone that signed me as a 13-year-old and still at Ipswich now. Who huge history in player development from Kieran Dyer, Darren Bent, Darren Ambrose, those likes. Him in terms of session design and session delivery and coaching players, and probably the fundamentals of the game of possession-based but attacking football was probably put into me as a 12, 13-year-old when I joined the academy there. Then I move on to Steve Foley, someone that worked in the Premier League, was an assistant to Mike Walker and Nigel Worthington for many years at Norwich. The importance of connecting with people. I think that finding a way in, how do you connect, how do you find the way in, because if you can do that then you'll open them up to learning, which again I think is important. And then Terry Wesley at West Ham was someone that, when we talk about intensity and drive and individual player development were some of the key bits I got off him. And then probably finally Peter Rivian was one that a little bit out there, spent many years at the FA, but just in terms of, he always makes you think why you do things, which sounds like a mad thing, but that constant process of challenging why makes you just reflect on what you're doing, and again I think that helps you evolve, that helps you progress, that helps you improve.
Thanks, good luck to you.
Appreciate it.
Hi Liam, just a couple quick ones from me. Bristol, your first impressions maybe of the city and the club, if that's right.
To be totally honest, I got here at 1 o'clock today, 12:30, so I've not seen too much of the city, which I'm really looking forward to. The club, I mean, it's a terrific setup, and that's the bit I think when you've got such a fantastic facility here, but also at the training centre, I think what it allows you to do is concentrate on the development side, the organisation. You don't have to worry about that. So it screams, I keep saying it, but it screams high performance. So it's our job now to make sure the players understand what that looks like and how to do it.
And just finally, your message for supporters about what they can expect from a Liam Manning Bristol City team.
Yeah, I think first and foremost, when people are paying hard-earned money to watch, I think it has to start, I've said it already in this interview, it has to start with the behaviours. Have to start with people that are fully committed, that are willing to run, that are willing to compete, that want to win duels, are willing to do that side of it. And then on top of it, I think the biggest bits then is we'll work really hard to be organised with and without the ball, and that means that players are clear on what their jobs are in each phase of the game. So we want to have the ball, we want to attack, and we want to be hard to beat. I think sometimes, keeping it that simple sometimes helps. Thank you.
Just one or two for me as well to finish. Firstly, I think it's probably fair to say that when Nigel Pearson came in, he's obviously a well-known character in the game. People felt they knew what to expect from him. Not necessarily the same situation with yourself. I'm just wondering if you can describe yourself for us. Like, what can we expect?
Yeah, no, first and foremost, a huge amount of respect for Nigel, obviously his career and what he's done at the club. I think then shifting it on to me, I think I'm just a normal, genuine person, to be fair, and I think what you'll see is someone who's fully committed. Again, I think I'm not going to jump around like a madman on the sideline. I think that's important. I think I have to role model the behaviours that I want in the players. So if we talk about emotional control and staying focused in game, I have to live that as well. So again, I think there's that, and I think in terms of I'm quite approachable. I think like sometimes people in the game get dehumanised. I think ultimately I'm quite a simple person that likes going home to my family, my couple of dogs, and overly obsessive on football.
And just lastly, there's been some descriptions online of the style of football your teams tend to play, being high pressing, possession based, attacking football. I just wonder how you would describe it in your own words.
Hopefully then. I think the biggest bit though, I see football very much as cat and mouse as well. I think if you look at it, we try and split the game up a little bit into phases, and our job, like I keep saying, is to give the players clarity, and the players' job is to understand what their roles are. But I think it's about being adaptable, and I think what fans and what people love about the game is the unpredictable element. And again, I think that if we're building from the back and the opposition want to come and press, we'll go over it. Then when they drop off, then we'll build again, and I think that for me is really key. And it takes a little bit of time to get that. The players have to understand the decisions they make, which is important. And then it's our job to support them through that and to coach them that, because the perfect game of football never exists. So we have to understand that mistakes are part of that process. It's our job to support them, to coach them, to develop them, to make sure that they understand why they do things on the pitch, so that they make more right decisions than wrong.
You touched on it a little bit earlier, but the recruitment policy, is that linked to the use of the academy players as well? How would you expand on that?
Yeah, I think having worked in academies as well, I also understand the importance for players to see a pathway. For academy staff, the most rewarding thing from that is when you see someone make a debut. But I also think from a pure business perspective, I think you invest huge sums into academies. Why would you not look there first? I think that doesn't mean necessarily that you take everybody from there, but it should be the first place that you look. And again, I think what you then get with players coming through the academy is you have such a bigger picture. You know their characters, you know their strengths, you know their weaknesses. You can ingrain the philosophy of how you want to play in them. And then for me, on top of that, you can obviously then they have an affiliation to the club. They've been through the journey, so they have that relationship with the club, which I also think that emotional investment is quite important. So we'll definitely look there first. Then for me, it's then you go external after that.
And in the past, what experience have you had with bringing and developing players from the academies you've had before?
Yeah, obviously did a lot of it at West Ham from 23s to first team, but again, I think the job I had in Belgium was not necessarily from the academy, but was to bring in talent from all around the world to develop and move on to different levels. So that, and then obviously at MK Dons, we had a few where developed quite a few players to move on as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi Liam, it's Tom Morgan. I work for the Telegraph. Apologies for being late. Actually, the Bristol traffic, you'll soon learn, is absolutely appalling. But and apologies also if you've already been asked this. But Bristol City are arguably the biggest club never to have played in the Premier League. Is that something that's crossed your mind in the last 24 hours as you've thought through whether to take the job and how, do you look at this club and see potential to get back into the top flight fairly soon?
Yeah, the club's got huge potential, right? You only have to see the infrastructure, the setup, everything that's in place is ready. The next bit is getting the playing group right. And again, I think that in terms of it was a big attraction. I think the ambition, the drive of the club, and I'm speaking, like I said, with John and Brian in terms of that matches with me and where I want to go. I think the biggest bit for me is I won't be expending too much energy on the outcome. Mine has to be on the day to day. So making sure that we run the best program that we can. We have the best relationships with the players. We do all the best work that we can that allows us to get where we want to. I think if you focus too much on the end goal, you sometimes overlook the most important bit, which is the way that you get there.
Great, thank you everyone for your questions. So we did ask supporters, and thank you everyone for watching. So we've got some questions from fans. First one for Liam. It's from Dave Fevs, who's an ardent follower and analyst of the football club. So Liam, from what you've seen of City both in pre-season, the cup match and your own research, what have you seen so far that you feel identifies with a Liam Manning team?
I think the big bit is the intensity. I think I think you can get a good read into the players and the culture if they're willing to run, which, having watched numerous games, they are. So again, I think you get that head start that we want people that are willing to run, because again, I think that when you look at the game, you look at successful teams, there's a huge emphasis on that. So that was a big bit. And then again, I think some of the attacking stuff is a bit that sticks in my head from here was, I think, just the quality, whether it be players in duels, in 1v1 situations, or whether it be in the combination plays and dominating little mini games of 2v2s, 3v3s that we saw. There's some of the key bits. I think that, and then I think that the makeup of the group. I think the potential in the groups, is also something that really excites me.
Thank you. We have a number of podcasts who follow the team. One in particular, Three Peeps in a Pod, and their question to you, Liam, is: what is the dynamic between yourself and Chris Hogg in terms of roles and responsibilities in training and in games?
Yeah, it's very much a partnership. We're extremely close. I think he's terrific. He's in my head constantly, so he's able to filter what gets back to me, what doesn't sometimes get back to me. Equally as important. He takes a huge role in terms of the training program and planning that and bringing that to life. And I think the biggest bit for me is that he challenges me, and I think that's really important. Because we're so aligned in terms of our values and our goals, I think that for me is really important. So when I make a decision, I'm I want people to question it. I want that check and challenge which he gives me. So again, I'm really fortunate that he's come to support me.
And one from a young fan who's got his own YouTube channel, AH Robbins Talk. Liam, how quickly do you want to see success at Bristol City, and do you think this group has enough already in it to adapt to your style of play?
I would love to see it straight away. Of course, we all would, right? But I think that's the biggest bit. We'll do everything in our power to win on Saturday. Ultimately, I think that's where it starts, and then if we can do that, then it'll be the 2 weeks after that, the next game. Again, I think that's very much it for me. I think I try not to look too far ahead. I think that's the biggest bit. We have to make sure that we're on the money. We're training tomorrow, and the detailing that's correct, and do everything to get ready for Saturday. Once we've done Saturday, then we move on to the next one after that. And again, I think that's really important, especially that emotional side. That you don't get too high, you don't get too low. It is literally the day to day and the processes for the players that will allow them to go and win games repeatedly.
Thank you. And final question, a very important one from lots of Bristol City fans. What is your favourite cider? Is it Thatcher's Gold or Thatcher's Haze?
I need to sample them first, and then I'll let you know. Come back to me in a period of time, I'll let you know.
Hopefully there'll be plenty of time for that. Thank you very much, Liam and John Lansdown. Thank you, everybody.